Welcome back to In the Can. We're going to be talking with actors and the executive producer of Kinyarwanda. Executive producer is Ishmael Nihabos, and actors Cassandra Freeman and Cleophas Kabasita. I almost got it through there. Well, thank you all for coming in. There's so many things I want to know about this film. When I first read about it, I thought it looked like a natural documentary, but it's actually a feature film, but based on true stories. And I know you, as an executive producer, did a lot of research to find out how to interweave true stories into the characters that would be featured in this film. Tell me about the research that you went through.
The research based on the unity reconciliations among Rwandese and the religious tolerance after the genocide that happened in Rwanda.
And I know that the goal of the film was not to generalize, because when we think of this situation, and maybe we should back up a little bit and talk more specifically about what this film is about. It's set in Rwanda. It talks a lot about the genocide that happened there. But it's more than that, because the characters really show the audience that there's more to these victims than just being a victim, right? And that's what a lot of times people in America, or those of us that aren't directly involved with the situation, that's what we think of. But there's a lot more, of course, when you think about it, to these characters. What drew you to the film, and do you agree with that statement, that you were able to bring them to life?
I think what's very interesting is that it shows the life in the midst of tragedy. So the life of like a husband and wife, the life of my character, which she's a military figure based after a woman there named Rose Kabuye, and she's like the woman who's like Martin Luther King there. She helped end the genocide. It's a woman. And a lot of these stories just show sort of the shades of gray that happen in the midst of war. But yet it's still like this beautiful love story of reconciliation and forgiveness. And I think it's a lot of hope and something people for sure have never seen. It's not Hotel Rwanda. It's nothing like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure that people may compare that in their mind when they hear about the subject matter, but it is very different in the fact that it really brings out the human experience. And for you, your character played?
I played Francine, a Tutsi woman who's married to a Hutu man. And with everything that's going on, all the madness that's going on outside their home, she probably felt she was protected by the fact that she was married to a Hutu, but she actually gets her heart broken during that time. She discovers that her husband has cheated on her with a Hutu woman. And it's, I mean, she had thought the worst things had already happened, but then now it's come to her home in a different way. And she discovers that although she had married this guy for love, she's still from a different ethnic group, and maybe this man will never love her, you know, because he's now going out with a Hutu woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tell me, as far as, it sounds like putting the film together from a screenwriting standpoint, from a research standpoint, a lot of work went in ahead of time, before you even started shooting. How long were you working on this film before shooting began?
I've been working on this film about 3 years.
3 years.
3 years, starting by research and, you know, having team together. You need to contact Americans. They have experience. You can learn from them. You need to look locations. You need to look everything. So it's taken us 3 years to make sure that we have things together and start shooting.
And when you first saw the script, because do you live here?
Yeah, I live in New York and not Los Angeles. I'm from Florida originally. Yeah.
You're from where?
Florida originally.
Florida originally. So how did you find her, and tell me about that process when you read the script? What drew you to it? Because you've done a lot of big budget films.
Right, yeah.
But this, you know, independent film, is this your first independent film?
It is, yes.
Tell me how this came together, how you became involved.
It's very serendipitous, because I've known the director, Eric Brown, for many years, because I went to NYU for grad school for acting. He was there for directing, and our schedules never linked up so we could work on anything. And I just moved back from LA back to New York. He had this script. I read it. I was like, this is like magic and love, but I'm like horrible with accents. I'm like, I'm sure there's no role. And when he went back to Rwanda, I didn't even realize he put my name on a list. And I guess you recognize my name?
Yeah, I did. Actually, Eric, we've been working with Eric, you know, some time back, and then we've been looking for such strong character, woman, you know, who can be strong character. And then we did some research. Eric says, look, we have Cassandra Freeman. She may come over. So I did some research, found out who's Cassandra Freeman, and I found she's very strong character. And that's particular character we want to Rwanda. So she came up and she did an extremely job to make sure that Rwandans love that film. Everybody will love that film.
Wonderful. But the majority of the crew on this film was from the country there, right? So is there a...
Half and half.
It was half and half?
Yeah, a lot of the people here were actually from New York, people who worked with Alec for years, from his first short to present. And then the other half were Rwandese, and some of these people, this is their first time in like bigger positions as costume designers.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there a big film industry to draw from there? I mean, how were you able to pull some cast together there? I mean, I don't know.
We don't have such experience at the colony on ground, but the thing about this project is also for the film for educations. So dedicating Rwandese to be filmmakers. In that case, we have Rwandese who've been working close with Americans to make sure they can learn from them. And at the end, we make such a, let's say, an industry of films based in Rwanda with crew based in Rwanda. So someone can come learn from them, like Rufus Kabasita. She's been acting on some of the film, like sometimes in April, but in this one, she did a great job. I mean, she was like she's Hollywood actress. Yeah. You know, so I couldn't even imagine myself. So imagine when AP you are just look at the scene behind. It was like, is she gonna perform this? So when she was on set, I was like, look, Cassandra, look, Rufus Kabasita. Wow, they think it can be combined. So at the end, we're gonna keep those characters in Rwanda, and of course, we're going to produce more films with this foundation we've been making together with American Rwandese. So, you know, some of the girls can learn from her, and then we make this industry strong in the country.
And there is a little bit of an industry forming there. They do have like the Rwandan Film Festival, and a lot of different groups do help out in Rwanda. Eric Kabera is like building his own like film school there.
Wow.
There's lots of beautiful infrastructure happening right now.
Yeah, and a lot of stories that'll, I'm sure, emerge from there that'll be
that
really
have nothing
wonderful.
to do with the genocide.
Right, right, and give another face to it. Well, let's take a quick look at Kinyarwanda. Do we know what we're going to see in this clip? No. So we'll talk about it when we come back, so let's take a quick look. That was a very quick clip of the film Kinyarwanda. Tell us what we saw in that clip.
It's basically Jean, one of the lead characters. She sneaks out of the house and practically goes to like a little house party, you know, in the midst of all this war. And there's a guy there who she likes, and that's him walking her home. But she's Tutsi, and he's Hutu.
She's actually, that's my daughter in the film, and she's half Tutsi, half Hutu, because her dad is Hutu, her mother is Tutsi. But what it shows is that regardless of all the craziness, there was still life going on, and children were still children, and you know, their innocence hadn't yet been broken. But what you actually don't see is when she returns home, when she sneaks back into the home, she finds her parents have been killed while she was away. Chilling.
Wow. So in that one short amount of time, the whole theme of the film is seen. The fact that life goes on, and yet it's in the midst of great violence. And wow.
And yet the storyline is all out of order. So it sort of has that Pulp Fiction feel of you see this vignette, and then sort of like crash, because then all these characters do meet up at some point.
It sounds fantastic. So thank you all for coming in. Cleo, Cassandra, Ishmael, thank you very much. Good luck here at Sundance. We appreciate it, and we'll be back with In the Can right after this.